Distance over time, kilometers per hour, yes. Speed is distance over time. Let me know in the chat. Everybody remember that? Yeah, also you can rewrite it like that, Graham. Yes. Does that make sense? Okay. Speed is a rate. Does everybody make sense of that? Speed is a rate. Are we good with speed being a rate? As mentioned by Irvin, it's kilometers per hour, and that is a rate, or a rate of change. Good. I'm going to plot a picture now. Speed versus time. If something is traveling at a constant speed, it just does this. And that's why distance, what's the formula for distance? I think someone mentioned it. I think it was Graham in the chat there. Distance is equal to speed times time. Does that make sense? Distance is speed times time. Okay. So let's say that we went up to here. Let's say that we went for 10 seconds, just because I feel like it. What shape is what area is this that I'm tracing out? What kind of shape is that? It's a rectangle. So we can say that it's the area under the speed graph. The area under the speed curve. What if the speed curve was like this? What if the speed, so this is speed versus time still. What if the speed curve was like this? It was all messed up like that. It's still the same thing. You still find the area. If you want to, if the area will still equal the distance. That applies to anything. If you have a rate versus time, and you find the area, whatever that rate is, whether it's money or speed or whatever, the area under a rate graph. So if you have a rate versus time graph, then the total area under that graph, it gives you how much has accumulated. So if we go back to the previous question, which was the revenue question right here, then you can do the following. We have the revenue versus time, like that. And there's the graph. And remember, can someone tell me what the units for revenue are? For rate of revenue? It's dollars per whatever, right? It's dollars over time. Dollars over time. And if you want to find out the accumulated amount of money, then you find the area. So if it's for 10 years, like that, so there's what I'm trying to say to you in the previous question. Let me know in the chat if what I showed you here, using the analogy of speed, distance, and time, let me know if this helped you in the analogy of question 79. Did this help you understand question 79 better? Thank you, Matthew. Anybody else? Are you on better track with 79? The negative 400 over 3. What about it? How did you isolate t cubed? I'm doing guess and check there. I'm finding the antiderivative of this using guess and check. I think that's where people are getting lost, is the guess and check. I'll walk you through the guess and check for this. Maybe that'll help. Sorry, Mohammed. You can use another method called substitution, but I'm not using that here because I didn't teach you guys the chain rule in the fall. Yeah, I don't know. I think we have a better use of the word homies is probably preferable there. I'm with Prabiti on that one. Okay, so we're trying to do this. Let me just do guess and check, okay? So you have f of t equals 400 t squared over t cubed plus 20 squared. That's our function. Don't worry about the 20. I'm just talking about this part of it, the blue thing that was bugging people. So we're going to guess the antiderivative. So this is the antiderivative. In order to guess it, it would be beneficial to rewrite this thing here with without the fraction. So if you did that, you'd have t cubed plus 20 to the negative 2. So if we guess it here, we're going to just take this thing here and raise the exponent by 1. So that would equal t cubed plus 20 to the negative 1. I'll put a c there, although we don't really need the c for definite integrals. So that's our guess. And now we're going to check by finding the derivative. So if we find the derivative, we get negative 1 t cubed plus 20 to the negative 2 times 3t squared. Let me know in the chat. Did that make sense so far? So I'm just dealing with the antiderivative of the complicated term, not the 20 at the end, because the 20 at the end is just 20t. That's not the bad part. Did this make sense so far? Let me know in the chat. Are you with me? Okay. Okay. Now, when we go back here, we can clean this up a little bit. So we have that. Unfortunately, they're not matching. Our goal is for this thing here to look like this. So let me know, are they close? Are they close? Are they is it okay? Like are we getting somewhere? What's the issue here? Well, if you look here, all the variable part is the same. It's just that we have a 400. We want a 400, but we have a negative 3. So we don't want that negative 3 there. So what we need to do is modify the guess here. So I need to put something here that will make it 400 instead of negative 3. And that would be 400 over 3 with a negative sign. If I bring that all the way down, you're very welcome. Well, this is good practice for your test too, I guess, right? So then these three, this negative, that negative, this 3, and then I can just do this, and I can do this, and I can put a check mark saying that they match. So then this disaster over here is exactly what we have. Whoops. This is exactly what we have on the previous page. And I mentioned to you when I answered question 79, what I said was that, let me screenshot this. What I said was this thing here is not easy. It's not a quick one. It's guess and check. So that's what we just calculated. That whole thing there was not like a walk in the park or anything by any means. But that's what goes right here. That's what we just did. See this thing in blue? We just did the thing in blue. It was painful. It was definitely a painful thing to do. I have the reason I didn't show you it here because I recorded that yesterday and I thought maybe I could save myself 10 minutes of this by doing extra questions and then you could refer to the video to look over my explanation of that. So probably better that I just did it all overall anyway. So my apologies for that. Anyway, we do have time left and we can definitely practice some extra questions. So because I have recorded some of the answers to these, I won't do the same ones with you so that you can look at those answers. So 81, 82, 83, 84, I'm not skipping them outright. Like you have the recordings for them on YouTube, okay? So why don't we do a few ones toward the end here? Let's take a look at let's take a look at 88. That's another definite integral that is fun to do, I guess. And we'll do 89 as well. And then after 88 and 89, then you can take some time to look at the or to just take a break and prepare for your in-class quiz. So anyway, this one here, we want to find the definite integral of this function here. Now that function there can be written as an exponent of 1/3. So what's the antiderivative of x to the 1/3? Anybody in the chat there? What is the antiderivative of x to the 1/3? Thank you, Yazan. And you go from 1 to 8. See, do you see how when I'm recording the drawing is a lot slower? I don't know why that is. I need to ask Blackboard that. It's nothing to do with my computer because it's not recording on my computer. It's recording on Blackboard. And then I download it later. Anyway. All right, so at this point here, you can just use your calculator. So that's 16. 16 times 3/4 is 12. And 12 minus 3/4 is eventually the answer. So let's take a look here. I'm trying to do it in my head. Anybody else? Did they get 45 over 4? Anybody else get 45 over 4? It's so quiet. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, let's take a look at 89. It's another definite integral. Probably will build up your confidence with what we did earlier with the revenue question, because it's a similar type of question. So we have our integrand. which is x squared plus 1 to the negative 4. And we're going to guess and check the answer. So we're going to guess the antiderivative. So the guess will be the same thing in here, but you're going to add 1 to the exponent. Like that. So that's my guess there. And you definitely want to add a c there as well, but the c is going to disappear when you do your check. So there's the derivative of that quantity. Take it a step further. Very good, Yazan. I'm just looking here. Negative 4. My apologies there. Okay. So that equals negative 6x, x squared plus 1 to the negative 4. I'm just taking my time because I don't want anybody to get too thrown off by this stuff. When we look at this, we notice that there's a couple of things. The first thing is that we want it to look like this, but we have this. So you see that there's a negative 6 there, which we don't want. So the way that you get rid of the negative 6 is to change your guess. So we put here negative 1 over 6. Thank you, Peter. And then what you get is exactly what you need. You get negative 1 over 6. And over here, again, you get negative 1 over 6. So by adjusting that guess briefly, it gives you what you need, because now the 6's and the 1's and the negatives, so that is good because everything cleans up nicely. This thing here looks like this thing here. So there's our guess, and we can proceed to the answer. So the answer will just continue over here. So we end up with as follows. This equals negative 1 over 6. I can put the c there, but the c cancels. From 0 to 1. So if you put 1 in here, you get negative 1 over 6. And then you get 2 to the negative 3. And if you put 0, you get negative 1 over 6. And then you get 0 to the negative 3. Sorry, you get 1 to the negative 3. My apologies. So this equals negative 1 over 48 plus 1 over 6, which is 7 out of 48. And that's the final answer. Hopefully you had a little bit more comfort with that example. Definitely guess and check is not the most fun thing to do. I can appreciate that. But there are alternative methods. It's just that this is the one that the book uses, so I try to stick to what the book does so that when you're looking at the book, you don't get confused further. Question number 90, I actually already did that one and it's recorded and it already is on the channel. So at this point, I think we're going to stop the lesson and you can take some time, take a little break if you like. But keep in mind that at 10 o'clock, your quiz will open and I'll stick around for questions in the meantime.